Alrighty, folks. This time Kevin called action again. We didn't get as prepared as always, which has become kind of the regular. And I'm just trying not to get stabbed. She climbed right up my back in a very cute and adorable way. Also, hello. This is episode 21 of the Rick Chappell podcast. This is my co-host, Kevin. Girl Kevin, for those that are confused. To explain that away real quick, she was named before she was she'd. So that's how that goes. Oh, and I'm getting a little bit of a claw in the back of the throat hole there. Oh, hell. Oh. And kisses. Well, we have lots to talk about this week, and not just show you my cat's butthole. So come on, come on. Kevin, the internet doesn't need to see your butthole. Cats. Yeah, face this way. Be cute. Usually I have headphones and a guitar plugged in and everything. We lean into it, though, whenever Kevin wants to be a part of this. Hey, sweetie, you been doing okay today? I just got home from work in hopes that if I film right away, she hasn't seen me yet. There we go. So we actually have a furry co-host. And just don't show them all your butthole. Be classy. We're on camera. I'll tilt. Well, how you guys doing? That's a chaotic intro if I've ever had one. And I often do. You ought to know by now. Oh, really? All that, and she doesn't even stick around. Well, I guess in that case, we'll get the guitar rocking and rolling and going, because just the guitar alone is something to talk about this week. This is officially mine. Seems crazy to say. This is my 2018, I think this one was, or 2020. It's 2020. This is my 2020 Gibson Murphy Lab 58. That, yeah. Make sure the levels are okay. Oh yeah, thank God. That was the first time I heard them there. It's kind of insane. We'll turn down all that echo so it's not a chaos episode. Sorry for the bits and pieces of oddities here. We're always learning as we go. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is this is a Murphy Lab 58. And for those that know guitars, they know this is a very fancy one. So, Merry Christmas to me. Let's make sure it's in tune. And then get on with the friggin' podcast. Sorry, I hoped the cat was going to do more cute stuff. Speak of the devil, and she may appear. Hello. Now you're going to interrupt tuning. I just threw fresh strings and everything on this last night because I just got it yesterday. So we're still stretching them out and dialing them in. And apparently Kevin doesn't really want to have that much to do with it, but she will be in and out this week. I have a funny feeling. Well, let's get into comments. That's always an important segmento. Hopefully that it's a new preset we got going today, you know? Actually, no, here. Let's go to the usual super goopy echo. I like it when it is super echoey. Anyways, comments. Hello, Kevin. Don't get in the angle. Didn't even do my hair this week. What are we doing? It's the holidays, man. It's the holiday hours just killing me. Okay, we actually got a fair amount of comments last week. Not on the podcast, as always, you know. But I'm answering the whole channel because we're rocking through them. Okay, last 6 days. Let's go with that. There's a lot of noise for no reason. Last 5 days. Okay, so what do we got? This is a comment on Almost Again by Strapping Young Lad. I did a vocal/guitar cover of that 2020, maybe 2019, somewhere around there. And it's pretty good. Check it out. I'm screaming, I'm singing, and I'm playing my my Devin Townsend 7-string for the first time. Like that was the first thing I did with that one. It was the first time I had a guitar that could like really pull off that tuning I felt. So that was really cool. Anyways, the comment just says, great job and raw. Keep it up. It is true. I came home from work and just went, and just let her rip. And there's not that much vocal production on it really either. Not a lot of effects. So yeah, you hear what you hear. Next comment up is on the podcast on episode 20. So last week there. From Rod, good old Rod Horncastle. I'm having a beer, Whistler Brewing Pub, Coast Pale Ale. Shout out, I guess, to a local brewery up there in Whistler. And putting new strings on the 335. Gibson, I guess. While watching your show and waiting for Kevin's appearance. Great show. I'm pretty sure Kevin likes Nickelback. Of course she does. Kevin is a Nickel fan. Right, hon? Yeah, you know it. I've told many a Chad Kruger story, I think, on this podcast by now. He never touched this guitar. There's nothing there. None of the guitar. Oh, look at my. Oh, see, I told you I didn't do my hair, and then I put on headphones, and then I put a backlight on me for once, so that my hair looks good. But then it doesn't look good if you don't put in the rest of the effort there. Wow, we're flying through this week there. Anyways, what I was saying is there's no Chad Kruger guitars in the shot. But Kevin's definitely a fan. Hometown hero. Also, you say your dog was a Metallica fan. Chilled right in front of the stereo whenever he put them on. That's cool. Sometimes animals do actually dig like a certain band or a certain genre or whatever, you know? Looking forward to the Boss amp and cab review. Same, and I have it. It's in my bag in the other room. I just brought it home today. And yeah, I will probably film that tomorrow after work. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying that out. That is the Boss IR2. And we'll talk about it more later because I have a bit of a plan I want to talk out, and this is a perfect opportunity to do so. Next up, we got some comments on the U80 Lion video, which was the last review I did, and a great pedal. I'm going to drink some water before we dive into these. Let's turn up the echo. Always more echo. Yeah. Infinite delay. Okay, so back to the show. Can you just plug direct from the output into the input of your interface? Is that the idea? Yes, that's exactly the idea. So far, all of the pedals I have reviewed, that's the idea. There's so many guitar pedals in the world, and I'm not that interested in all of them. But a segment I have chosen to focus on here is the ones that do amp sounds and like our full recording solutions. So yes, that is it. Next one up. Oh, that is a little too much echo, eh? Live and learn. I wonder what your opinion on the IRX, and do you think it will complement well with the HX Stomp? I haven't tried the HX Stomp really at all. I have it work once or twice, but we set up a head rush the other day. That's my current like demo thing I'm doing at work. I wonder what your opinion on the IRX. I don't even know what the IRX is, to be frank. So I'm curious what my opinion will be also when I get educated. Sorry for the bad response. Okay, dude, these new so-called MIABs, Marshalls in a box, I guess you mean, sound a bit thin. My exotic SL drive has the big Marshall sound rockers love for a whole lot less than this box, just saying. I don't know what the exotic drive SL is. I'm guessing it's a distortion pedal you put in front of your amp. And that's the thing about these pedals in a box, or these amps in a box, is they're not an amp, they're a recorded amp. They have a microphone and a preamp and all those things, and probably a bit of an EQ curve, and they're for like studio work in that way. You can absolutely use them live if you put them out of a flat frequency or right out of the PA or whatever kind of monitor you've got. But it's never going to sound like a guitar amp, because a guitar amp creates frequencies and shit that when you get to that end goal of having a finished sound, you actually cut out. So in my opinion, you know, standing next to a 4x12 that goes and rattles your asshole is fun. But when you put that on a record and then put a high pass filter on it, all of that rattling of the asshole is taken out. So the pedals don't have that very often, because also the speakers and the playback system you're listening to, I doubt rattles your butthole all that much either. You know, unless you're listening to it out of a Marshall 4x12 cabinet In my opinion, you cannot say that it doesn't sound like a Marshall because you're not trying to sound, you know, I hope this makes sense. I don't mean to be rude about that comment, but like, I get things like that a lot, and it makes sense what you're saying, but I think the goalposts of the product are different maybe than you're after, is what I'm trying to get at. Next one is correcting me when I'm wrong, which is very often. FYI, diamond amp equal Vox, not Mesa. Vox grill has diamonds. That is true. That's a good point. I always assume diamond means like tread plate or California, like Mesa Boogie diamond plate amps. But no, you're right. If the Boss stuff, diamond means Vox. I have learned that. And it's really bright, so that should have given it away. Next one up is back on the Lion. Very good demo. I ordered one. Good for you. You're gonna fucking love it. Oh, I shouldn't swear this much. Oh, and he said, damn, you can play. That's kind. Been doing it a long time, man. As he proceeds to mess it all up. I just hope I'm good at it by now. Oh, Kevin is resting her little head. Oh, do I have the Kevin camera this week? Yeah. She's resting her little head right next to the camera. So I'm not going to be looking at the camera that much, probably, because I'm going to be staring at a sleepy kitten. Look at that. How could you not? Anyways. Having ADHD and a podcast with multiple cameras is a great, dangerous combo. What a cute kitten to distract me. Next comment up on my cover of Burn It to the Ground by Nickelback. See, we talk about Nickelback. It all comes full circle. So few views. This was amazing. It does have few views. How many views does that video have? Burn it to the ground. That's me. Let's turn it down, maybe. I don't think I'll get copywritten if I play my own thing. 971 views, so we're nearing 1,000, I guess. But yeah, for a quick plug, I have a cover of Burn It to the Ground by Nickelback. I have a feeling it'll get flagged because it's pretty note for note. Maybe we won't play the whole thing. I'll play you a little bit of vocal because why not? I even scream it the best I can. You can go check that out. Maybe it'll have more than 1,000 views by the next time we do a podcast. Hello, bear. Don't show the people your butthole. Be classy. Back to comments. You couldn't hear, but she just went when she jumped off. Like a dramatic little cat. Oh, the next comment is the last comment. Oh, and this one, again, yeah, I'm gonna get heated. Just says great demo, which is very kind, thank you. As far as the EVH sound, the Tone Master is much better than the thin Axe Effects comparison. Which, thin means bright, which you're right, it's a lot thinner, because it's a lot brighter of a tone. But did you notice by the end of that video, I made them sound the same? Just saying. It's all about the EQ curve. I prefer bright sounds, so the one that I had built was bright. But then, by the end of it, I turned the Tone Master just as bright by moving some microphones within it and whatnot. What else do we have to celebrate this week? The goal of the channel for months has been met. How can I not just start with that? It's probably the title of this episode, for God's sakes. You already know. We hit 500 subscribers. So, rock and roll. Crunch. 40 of those have been in the last month. So we're on like a faster upswing than I've ever been on before. My channel is technically like over a decade old. Like I've had a video on here since high school. But I've only really started uploading maybe this year, or like in the past 2 or 3 years, I've uploaded a video or two a year. And then I ramped up a little bit in 2019, and then 2020 happened. And I ramped down big time. And yeah, then life ramped back up again, and things kind of started rocking and rolling, and I started doing the gear reviews, which seem to have actually, gotten some real likes and some subscribers. So that is an avenue I will continue to pursue, like by doing the IR2 tomorrow. So look forward to that video this week. That was our comment section, and that was our celebration. Woo! I didn't have anything else planned. let's talk about the guitar for a second. I will probably do a bunch of that one. We will take a break this week. There's an intermission song I have prepared. But yeah, let's talk about this guitar. Because even though I keep talking about how I got it yesterday, I have had it longer than that, it feels like, basically already. So, breaking it down again, this is a Murphy Lab 58. So it is a non-flame top, because that's more of a 59 spec thing. This one has a thick neck as a 58, but not the thickest of a 58 that I've ever played. I think it has a lot to do with the nitro wear and checking that it's an ultra light age, so it's kind of turned into a light age because I put a chip in it like last summer when I played this guitar. The reason I have a bit of a story with it is this guitar walked into my work like many a guitar do, as happens when you work at a guitar store. And yeah, it sat in the glass case for a while because they were like, oh, it's crazy. And we all played it here and there and we thought it was great. It's amazing. And honestly, a couple months went by. Like it was a hot guitar. A lot of people liked it, but it didn't fly off the shelf by any means. And then enough time went by and I sort of played it enough that I was like, I think this has really got something to it. And then I looked up how much it would be basically. I'll just tell you some of the numbers. I bought this at work, so I did get a bit of a staff discount, so I can't share everything. But I did pay to rent it for a while, so I paid like $200, literally, to rent it for a short little burst there last summer. So this past summer, let's call it. Summer of 2023, there you go. And I actually brought it with me to a friend's place way up north there in BC. Not way up, but a couple hours away. I was staying there for a few days. What was I up there doing? I was doing sound for his band's show, and also it was a friend of his bachelor party. So it was a great, kind of long weekend we made up there in Princeton and Headley, BC. And then I think Vernon, or whichever the big town is around there, we went and got groceries one day. So shout out to the interior of British Columbia. Anyways, this guitar came with. I drove it up there with me because that was the time I had it on rent. And I played it against all of my friends' Les Pauls. And I basically rented it to bring it home and play against my Les Paul. I have two here. One's a Gibson, one's not. And we're going to talk about my history of Les Pauls later too. This is the guitar chunk of the podcast. Sorry to those that are not the guitar fans. But I brought it home to try against my guitar to see just how different it really behaved. That sounds silly, but it was different enough that I was like, okay, yeah, it's definitely separate. And I wouldn't get rid of that one to get this one, but they're different things in my opinion, And then I still had it out on rent when this opportunity came up to head up to the interior. So of course I brought this thing with me. I brought this and a Boss Katana Mini. Great little tone. I played all weekend. And it behaved really well. Okay, I keep saying behaved. It's a very brittle finish and whatnot, but nothing bad happened. And I was in like scorching heat and playing it in the sun all day. So that was a good test. And my friend's up there, his guitar player, who's now my buddy too, happened to have some vintage Les Pauls too, like a mid 80s and an older 70s custom. I can't remember. There was a newer custom, and I have some friends with nice Gibson Les Pauls, so I put this head to head with those ones. And then another guy came up who brought his Les Paul that I'd sold him. Like it was a Gibson shootout basically. And I just kept being like, damn. I even played that night. Oh, but I didn't play this guitar. No, this one didn't come out on stage. I was renting it, so I wasn't actually about to do too much. And then I brought it back because my rental expired. Actually, I even used it in some pedal reviews. If you go way back, that was the time when I did the first couple UAD. You can see it's this Les Paul, and then it switches over to my regular Les Paul that I had all this time. But yeah, I just kept being like, this thing's amazing, this thing's amazing, this thing's amazing. So I tucked it away on a back shelf so no one else could buy it. Chipped away at it very slowly, and then was helped out by my grandmother at the end to grab it for Christmas for myself. So, Merry Christmas early to me. This one's going to stick around for a long, long time. I know it. And now that it is mine, I'll just share the couple things I've done, over the past night or so. Because technically I've modified it. Because some people get specific about every knob on these things to an insane amount. I view it as a guitar that I will own and play and keep forever. So if I can turn a screw that makes it better, I'm going to do it. I have to put strap locks on it because that's just a safety thing. But we're out right now at work. So I'm waiting on that. Last night I put strings on it because you do that. You know, it was time for a freshen up. Still had the same ones that I had brought up north with me there. I top wrapped the bridge because I love top wrapping bridges, which is where you make them arc over the back tail piece. It feels really smooth on your hand. And I pulled off the thumb bleeders, which are a little metal peg that's underneath each knob. And they are called thumb bleeders because they can make your thumbs bleed when they stab you. So I hate those. I never like those things. So I pulled those off and wrapped up the strings in the way I like. And that's the end of the modifications for this thing. That's enough. That's not even really modifications, I know. But like I said, there's some old guys out there that see these things and they're like, nope, you don't even restring them. You keep the factory strings on it. And I'm like, nah. It's a good time. Anyways, let's talk about my history with Gibson Les Pauls now, because there is a little bit of a story there, and we can make it all the way to halftime, I bet. So my second guitar ever, I think. Yeah, it was either my second or my third, because I got this really cheap SG, like an $80 guitar I paid for with my own money when I was 12 or so. But it wasn't great. It only lasted me like a summer because it turns out the neck was glued in and bolted in and it broke at one point. It was a whole thing. But anyways, the guitar that came right around the same week as that was my first good guitar ever, which I still have. It is in the corner there. It is the Zakk Wylde Epiphone Les Paul. And the reason I had to, at that age, get an Epiphone Zakk Wylde Les Paul, that had to be the guitar for me, was the reason I started playing guitar ever, honestly. It happened, like the aha moment was after a concert. You know, I was 8 or 9, and my dad and his girlfriend, my mom at the time, you know, took me to go see Ozzy Osbourne. And it was the best thing ever, because I loved Ozzy Osbourne. And I knew nothing about his band, but at the time, it turns out it was actually Jason Newsted and Zakk Wylde when I look back on it. That's crazy. I don't know who's playing drums, I'm sorry. But Zakk Wylde made an impression on 8-year-old Rick. And I had to have that guitar, basically. That was always my goal. So years later, my father had sadly passed away. And I believe people from his work pooled some money together to buy me that Epiphone Les Paul. So that's another gift of a Les Paul, I guess, I was given at some point. I did pay for the brown one, though. We'll talk about that. But the Epiphone one, that was the best guitar I had ever played. And it was the one, look at it. Like, if you're a kid and you look at that, you want it even more so too, right? So the fact that it's a good guitar just, you know, went to that extra mile. So that was definitely, I don't want to say that's the guitar that made me fall in love with playing guitar, because I was really into it at that point. Like, that's why that was the gift people kind of decided to grab for me. But damn, it's a great guitar. It's currently not working. I replaced the electronics in it. Me and my uncle tried an experiment, didn't quite work. So I just need to resolder something, but I'm lazy and I don't do it that often, so we'll get around to that. The next Les Paul is the brown one right over there. That is a 2014 Gibson, so the other one's an Epiphone, this one's a Gibson. Les Paul Standard. And technically, I guess it's like a 120th anniversary AAA Root Beer Burst, I think is the SEO title, you know. But it's essentially just a Les Paul Standard with a nice flamey top, and it's in brown. And I love that guitar. I've told this story on the podcast, I'm sure, before. But I sold a car that I had, and on the drive home, I already had another car, so I was like, oh, I'm gravy. I went to the bank and stopped before after the bank, but on the way home, and stopped at the music store and saw that guitar hanging on the wall. So that's the story of how I actually bought my first Gibson Les Paul. Oh, no, it's not, because there's one in between there. It's a sad story. I tried to block it out. Well, that's the story I've had about that guitar. We'll tell the sad story now. There is 2 more Gibson Les Pauls stories that I have owned over the years that I don't currently have. One of them was a 2006, 7, 8, somewhere around there, black Les Paul Studio. Great guitar. I recorded, I think, a bit of the first album. Not the first, but Black Tie Affair, which I consider my first album. Guitar's on that a little bit. just bone stock Les Paul Studio, and eventually I traded it in on something else. So good guitar, but came and went. The other Gibson Les Paul was actually the first Gibson Les Paul I ever bought for myself. And it was a 2013 LPJ. So it was an interesting model they did at the time. It was a fully carved Les Paul, like 2 humbuckers, 4 knobs, maple neck, mahogany body, maple cap. Mine was the chocolate satin burst. I put EMGs in it, specifically the EMG 81 from a famous guitar. And then I put chrome hardware on it, and it was awesome. I played that guitar live constantly. That was my A1 guitar. I then bought that actual Gibson over there, and then I kept that one at home because that was fancy, and then gigged the other one. Like, that was my shit. And it got stolen. That's why it's a sad story. I came home one night. Oh, this is a crazy coincidence. I'll tell this full bit. I came home one night, and yeah, I had no front door. Somebody kicked it in and robbed me of many things. But the crazy coincidence, this is insane, was today at work, I got a phone call from a customer, and he was like, hey, I moved and I need to change my address with you guys. And I was like, sounds good, buddy. I got you. So I log into his thing, and I see his old address, and I'm like, that's the house I got robbed at. What? Initially, I'm like, I recognize that address. I must have lived there at some point. I've lived a lot of places, sadly. But I recognized that address and the postal code and everything. I was like, oh, yeah, I know that for sure. So I filled out all of his new information. And then as we were just chit-chatting on the phone, I Googled the old address, and I was like, that's the house I got robbed at. So I was like, oh, dude, crazy story. Since you moved from there, you don't live there anymore. And I know, like, he's a customer I've chatted with many times. I was like, dude, I actually used to live at the same house that you lived at. Isn't that insane? Like, we discussed the layout. We're like, oh, definitely the same house. Crazy. And yeah, so we were like, oh, that's insane. And then I was like, oh yeah, and just because you don't live there anymore, I'll tell you the truth. I got robbed there. Like, I was at work one day, and yeah, I got robbed. And he was like, dude, same. So yeah, nobody go live in that house, man. It sucks. You know what? The guy doesn't live there either. Nobody go live at 31792 Old Yale Road in Abbotsford, BC. Fucking, you'll get robbed. It's the same landlord. Fuck that guy. He's in on it. They gotta be. That took a turn. That took a dark turn. I'm sorry. Talked about guitars. What else can I talk about this thing? We told the story about renting it last year. Now it's home, so there's no more stories for that just yet. I didn't use it in any music. It's not on this new album that I've finished recording guitars now. I finished recording the guitars... I think I started and finished them after I rented this, and then before now. So it's, you know, didn't make an appearance there. It'll be on the next one, I'm sure. I wrote 1 or 2 things on it, up in Headley, of course. We had just a Airbnb trailer. I had like 2 of them actually for us, for the band and whatnot. It was awesome. It was a great summer there. Summer. 3 days, you know. What I summer in, you know. Sometimes in a long weekend, I'll take a day off work and go away. What other bits are in the podcast this week? I don't have an album of the week to talk about. Maybe I'll grab one at halftime. What else can we update you guys on? I try not to talk about the weather, but it snowed today. So that's noteworthy, man. I was at work. First of all, I woke up this morning and I was like, okay, what shoes do I put on? So I checked the forecast, because I can either just get away with putting on my shoes I wear at work all day, or if it's going to be super rainy or whatnot, I'll put on some boots and then bring my shoes. You know what I mean? So the forecast is like, it's going to be dry today. I'm like, sounds good. Get to work, starts raining, and then starts raining hard. And we're like, it is cold and pouring, and it's windy. And then the wind dies down and we're like, it's getting cold. And then it didn't white out, but like it came down hard for like maybe only an hour. Like it was a blip. So then it turned back into rain. It washed it away. All is good. But winter be here. The sky be cold. And I'm just so not cool with it. Like it's December 9th, to be fair. I live in Canada. Should expect it. But I don't like it. And there you go. We're at the halftime mark. I'm actually going to call it right there. I'm going to go grab an album that we can talk about this week. Maybe we'll do a Devin Townsend album even. Maybe I'll find something about snow. I don't know. Here's our little 5-minute break. Check out a preview of the upcoming record. This is a lo-fi jazz song I wrote. It's called... Should I tell you the name? No, maybe you have to stick around or watch some other episodes where I'm sure I told you the name. Anyways, I'll be back in a second. That's my bad. I put on the countdown and not the hold. So like, yeah. I am back. And maybe you just fast forwarded the video. Maybe you listened to the lo-fi jazz song called Jazzy Yazzy. There it is. Oh, I wasn't going to grab the guitar. I grabbed an album. What am I doing? Right back to it. Okay. So, the album of the week. I've decided... So, I don't have the biggest Devin Townsend... spoiler alert. I don't have the biggest vinyl collection. I do have a few things here and there. But most of my vinyl is Devin Townsend records because I've collected those over the years. I had the opportunity to grab a bunch of them early on. There was like a short pressing run that happened, and then meet him a bunch of times in that period. So I have a bunch of signed records, and then that kind of just snowballed into he put out some cool box sets and stuff, and I grabbed a bunch of them. I'm not a completionist. I don't have all of them, but I have all of the ones I want, honestly. So I'm very lucky in that regard. But we will not do a Devin Townsend album every week, is the point I'm getting at. I will concede to doing a Devin Townsend album a month just to get through this stack. And I love him, so I can talk about him all day, the records and the guy. This is Empath, the 2019 masterpiece. Honestly, this thing is insane. It was my album of the year in 2019. And 2019 was a stacked year for records, too. Like... To show you my taste here, the other records that were in the competition for me were Taylor Swift's Lover, and I think Mariana's Trench's Phantoms. That was where my year was at, dude. I spent Christmas of 2019 on a beach in Cuba thinking about what was the best record, and I came up with this one. And we will... Well, okay, I don't even know where to start with this thing. I have... Okay, let's let the stuff fall out there. The centerfold of this vinyl is got to be the coolest piece of artwork ever. It's there's a lot of lyrics about an island on this album. So there's the island, you know, dead center, and there's like beautiful things over here, and like crazy scary monsters and everything bad, I guess, sort of on the other side. And it's a full spectrum of an album, you know, that's the point. I don't think I have any like limited edition color or anything. Let's just quickly check. It's also on 2 LPs. No, I just have a black album. That's not worth showing you. The black album, by the way, will be an album of the week one of these weeks. And yeah, sorry, the artwork is amazing on this. There's the good old frame of Stormbender, which is right there. It's not that exact one, but for all intents and purposes it is. So that's really cool. Great guitar. Track by track on this one. I did that with Guns N' Roses, so we're doing it with this one. Castaway is just an intro, and it's a beautiful intro. Little acoustic guitar piece. It really sets the tone. Or not acoustic, it's an electric that just has a bunch of effects, and then there's a lot of sound effects. It's on like a beach. There's a lot of waves and stuff. Genesis is a big tune that's like kind of crazy. It goes a lot of places. Spirits Will Collide is like, that was the hit off of this album. It's just a big positive metal song. Evermore is the reason I picked this album, is actually because today on my walk to work, it came on shuffle. Evermore is a killer tune. That's probably the single you should check out if you're going to check this album out. Check out Evermore from the album Empath. Sprite is a beautiful, amazing song. It's like a weird time thing that kind of happens throughout it. There's a lot of like bump, 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 bump. Like it's just these drags. It's a really clever song, I think, and it's cool. Clever music things are clever, but they're not cool unless they're fun to listen to, and that one's fun to listen to. Hear Me is a brutal metal song. Just straight blast beats, craziness. Why is the song on this album I will cover eventually, just by doing a vocal cover of, because I will get back to my Devin Townsend series eventually. It's a Disney song, is the best way to put it. It just sounds like a Disney musical, and it's amazing. Then so that's side A and side B of the record. Side C and D of this are where it gets really cool, in my opinion, because all those songs are great, but now we get into wild pieces. So Borderlands is like a 16-minute, I think, long tune that has these crazy movements, and I haven't heard it in so long now. I'm going to listen to this album when this is over. It's awesome. I really like Borderlands. It has like some weird vocals in it here and there, but it's cool. Requiem is the low point on the album because it's just like a choir transition. It's not bad. It's just, I don't know. It's necessary to move it around, but I can't help but feel it was cut apart to be different than what it could have been, maybe. I don't know. And then the last side of vinyl on this is one song. It's a 23-minute epic that I've listened to so many times, and it's been there for me, like all music can be, you know. I'm not even going to get into all the parts of it because technically it's broken down into pieces, but you don't hear that when you listen to it. Or I think even on YouTube and everywhere, it's all one thing. And yeah, okay, so it's called Singularity. It's got like a solo by Steve Vai in it. It's got vocals by Annika van Giersbergen. It's got all the bunch. The album has 3 drummers on it, and all 3 are on that last song, and they're bits and pieces. It's just an amazing thing that happened, you know. And to get a little deep with it for a second, music has the ability to help people, obviously. That's the great thing about it. And this album and that song in particular helped me out during the pandemic's craziness of just like, I guess like not the COVID-y lockdown craziness, because there's so many layers and so many phases to what we all went through, I think. But during the everything's fine phase, so like 2020, winter 2020, I don't know, you know, like I'm sure we all had a period of like, oh, it's good, and then it all happened again, or whatever, you know, for the 3rd or 4th or whatever, you know that period I'm talking about, like when it was like you're at work, you're not, you're at work, you're not, work's going well, work's not, everybody's got drama because this is an insane thing, you know, that period. I remember, I'll just be honest, like literally locking myself in the bathroom for 23 minutes and putting that song on and just being like, feel your feelings, do your thing, and then move on. You gotta do stuff, man. The world's going around. You gotta go to work. You gotta do, like, just Oh, what a couple years we all had, man. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, are we at the end of it? Like, I don't know. There's no lockdown this Christmas, right? Was there one last Christmas? I don't think so. I remember, I think we're still at the point where, like, if you're sick, you shouldn't go see other people. But, like, that was always a thing. But now it's like a trauma thing that we all do. I don't know, man. Like, the past couple of years, we all had a time. And let's bring it up. Let's bring the guitar back. Let's hopefully not talk about the pandemic for the rest of the podcast. This guitar had nothing to do with the pandemic. Here's my separation. I was gonna do a little preview of the IR200, but I didn't have time to get it set up before Kevin jumped all over my shoulders, and then dipped, which is always how that cat goes, man. Maybe I should learn that I should have the podcast fully set up, because that's what's happening, is before I hit roll, even if I'm still writing stuff down or whatever, or talking out loud trying to warm up the voice, she'll be around the shoulders and being super cuddly like she was at the beginning there. But sometimes she'll do it for like 20 minutes, and we haven't got that yet. So 1 week, 1 day, it'll happen. I have faith and I have kitten. So there's all the ingredients you need. What are these little fold-outs that fell out of the album here? It's one little, I guess it's like a vinyl-sized booklet. It's got a picture of a yoga guy who looks like the guy from The Watchmen, I think. All the lyrics, a spooky elephant, and like the thank yous and whatnot. I don't mean to like make fun of it, but like some of the art is, I can't make fun of the art. The art's beautiful. But it's hard to describe, is I guess what I'm getting at. Like, there's just a big, angry-looking elephant and a happy elephant. What else do you want me to say? Am I getting text or a phone call, or is there another Amber Alert? Amber Alert went off at work today. That was the whole thing. Everybody's phones, the whole store is like, "Brrr!" And somebody's plugged into the Bluetooth, so the Bluetooth goes, "Brrr!" And, yeah, there's a 2-year-old baby missing in British Columbia. Be on the lookout. It's with its dad. And that's not allowed this time. So... there we go. Back to the guitar, man. I have been playing this thing non-stop. And honestly, even at work, like a fair amount over the past few months there. The shelf that I had it tucked away on is only, you know, a little ways away from where I'm at, so it's not that hard to get out. Anytime I've had to, like, stay late to cover somebody else's shift, all you have to do if you do that basically is literally sit at a desk and answer a phone. So I'll grab a Katana Mini and this guitar and, you know, go hang out over there. And, yeah, don't have to do that anymore. Because it's at home now. And, yeah, let's talk about McCabe. Maybe the reasons I love this one so much. I also, before I decided this was the one for me, I went to the largest long McQuaid in the province, the big Vancouver terminal store that has, like, 20, you know, different Murphy Lab Les Pauls. Maybe even 40 or so. There's a lot of them. And some real vintage guitars, too. So I went in there, and this is when I had this one on rent. I drove out to Vancouver one day on my day off and compared it against all the other ones there that I've ever thought of. So, like, the crazy expensive ones. There was a couple, like, a certain look of a 59 with, like, a lemon burst sort of finish they had there with a heavy age that I was like, that's the top of the line. Let's try it. And then they had actually, like, 2 more of this exact model. And, what else? The one I went all the way out there to try was a 56, I think. It's a one-piece mahogany black beauty, essentially, 2-pickup custom Murphy Lab that I've always wanted. Like, that's a dream guitar of mine. So I thought this one was amazing, so I rented it and took it out there, and like I said, I took it everywhere and compared it against everything. And it was better than even all those ones out there. Like, even the identical models, like, I think you get lucky sometimes with a piece of wood here and there. And this one's got all of the... oh, hello, Kevin. Oh, hello, Kevin. All of the magic little things in it that make for an amazing guitar. So that's part of why I will not modify it at all. But I do put on, you know, my favorite strings, which, oh, I should mention, are different on this one. I'm picky now because I can be. Usually I put a 10 to 52 pack on everything. But now, for the sheer sake of having 2 Les Pauls, it'd be silly to, you know, double them up in every way. So I actually put a 9 to 46 on this. Same set I have on the Eddie Van Halen guitar back there. because on actually the same set I have on the Silver Strat. So I guess it's a set I'm putting on a lot of Strat scale length guitars these days. I don't like a 9-42. For those that don't know, I'm talking about the size of strings. These are millimeters we're talking about, 0.042 or 0.009. It's the smallest one and the biggest one. Usually the way you name a pack is you name the smallest and the biggest, and then the ones in between are the ones in between. Not that they don't matter, but they're standardized. I like to go a little bit smaller on this one, because why not? And the Fender guitars, just because it feels a little better. So there you go. I need water. I was going to make tea this week. I had all these plans. Kevin always throws the plans. And just like that, I think we're at all the things I wrote down and the 45-minute mark. So, we're going off book. We're sharing a little bit. What's been going on? How's the album coming? I haven't done that many vocals because I've been working on the 500 subscriber video. There you go. It's the Cult of Personality. Neon lights, a Nobel Prize. When a mirror speaks, you know the reflection lies. You won't have to follow me. Only you can set me free. You know the song. It's a great tune. And I have now recorded all of it and sent it off for mastering, because I'll spoil it for you now. I don't have the release date, but I am going to release it on streaming and YouTube and everything. So if you want to hear it or watch it, it'll be available everywhere. Also, okay, back to the Kevin cam for a quick second. I have a microphone where she likes to sit, and because of that, she's just like furious. So mad. Oh, and now she heard something. See, I even had a teacup. We were so planned. Teacup, a mug, a cup for the coffee. It wasn't going to be coffee. It was going to be Earl Grey tea with nothing in it because I don't have any milk. No, I have milk. I don't like milk and tea, though. I like a kind of sweetener or something, you know, some cream. But I don't drink enough tea that I can keep the sweetener good enough, you know, long enough. Hello. So I never buy it. And not all the teas I drink I like stuff in. As the kicker, is what I'm trying to say. So my favorite kind of tea is a Japanese rice tea that I can't pronounce, but you can only buy it at Superstore. And I haven't driven to Superstore since I parked my car for the winter. And things like the snow are definitely a hindrance for walking all the way to Superstore to buy tea, which I'm not going to do, frankly. I miss the tea, but I would rather complain about it to the internet than walk that far. It's a little farther than all the other stores I can go to, you know? And I get my groceries delivered, all the main stuff. Because it's like $5. Like, why would you not? As always, we have changed around lighting things. The angle is slightly different, but only in a way that, like, the camera's no longer on a tripod, so every week it's going to be, like, not the exact same, but I think it is actually also slightly different. And the lighting is, like I said, I mentioned earlier, my hair is supposed to be better, but then I didn't have good hair. Didn't do my hair, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm falling apart. It's the last 10 minutes, guys. The holidays are getting to me, to be frank. It's only the 9th or 10th or whatever. Like, I'm that burnt out of it already. But, like, oh, I get one day off a week, you know, and we're open late, and it's just, like, a lot of crackheads doing crackhead things, too, you know. They get cold, so they come over. And then they come inside and play the drums, and, oh, there was one yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Like I said, it's all a blur. Yesterday, a guy comes in with hospital tags still all over him, and we're like, okay. And a snow shovel and a bunch of blankets and pillows. And we're like, okay. He goes right to the drums, and he starts playing. Oh, no, he goes right to another customer. And he's like, you want jam? You know Megadeth? And we're like, oh, fuck, like, I don't know. The other customers are enough of an adult that we don't have to get, like, if it's a kid, we're going to be like, hey, leave him alone. But, like, I don't know, these two grown men can handle the situation, whatever's going to happen. And he just, like, the guy's a good enough guitar player, so he does play, like, a little Megadeth-y bits there. And then the guy goes over to, like, a drum. He wants to set up a drum kit to play along. And then our drum guy's like, no. How about we just do, like, electric drum kit? And he's like, okay. And then he's like, how long's your guitar cord? Plug it in over here. And then the guy's like, no, I don't really want to, like, I'm just playing, I just want to test this guitar. And yeah, then the guy got up, left all of his stuff, and he was asking he asked another customer for cigarettes, and he was like, I got money for cigarettes. Who's got cigarettes? And then he went outside and came back with a cigarette. So he had money for cigarettes. So I guess the moral of that story. And then he went on his way. So he's not a crackhead. Let's not use that term for him. I only use the term crackhead for the ones I see outside with the foil and the pipes, because we do have a genuine crackhead problem. There's been shopping carts astray everywhere. The other morning we had security at the front and the back because there was two different groups, and they were just like moving from, like, we'd be like, hey, you guys gotta get out of here, and then they'd be like, okay, and they hide in the back for 20 minutes, and then we'd be like, okay, that's not better. Customers use both of those. And it was the whole time, man. It's I feel like this is, I like what we were talking about, like COVID winters and whatnot. I don't know if this is a downhill winter or an uphill winter. You know, where are we at? There's countries at war. I don't think that was happening as bad last year. I don't think there was as many, right? Was Ukraine, that was already happening? Was it? I don't even know. That's the sad thing. It's blurring. Now there's the one in the Middle East and the one in Europe, so that's cool. I guess it's not technically a world war until something happens in North America, so that's horrifying. But the rest of the place seems pretty on fire. So there'll be an episode next week, and the week after that, and all the weeks until I don't have internet. That's my line. And also, Kevin, she better not, but I'll film it if she does, is stalking the paralyzed cat. Don't, like, she was like shaking her butt and going in for the kill. Don't. She's literally handicapped, and she can still sit on you and just smush you. So why don't you like use that bed there, huh? Nice little cat bed that you never use. Kittens, man. Kittens. Usually by the end of the episode, I do some, oh, she just chased her out the door. So mean. I was gonna say, usually by the end of the episode, we play a little bit of distorted guitar. So let's fire up a nice little crunchy sound. I think I have a Marshall tone I dialed in the other night. It's pretty cool. Rick Marshall, that's the one. And then I lose it. The pickups on this guitar are an extremely low output humbucker. That's just how they're kind of designed. But not so low that they don't work as humbuckers. But if you really push through them, they work great. One tiny detail, and I'm not saying that any one tiny detail justifies the cost of like a custom shop guitar versus a non. But one thing that they only do on the custom shops for whatever reason that I love is the pickup rings. So you'll see just by the profile there, there's no pickup really sticking up out of the ring because the pickup rings in the custom shops are way bigger. Like it's just a lot more plastic there. And sometimes plastic is good, yo. But do you see what I'm talking about? Pickup doesn't stick up. So because of that, the pickup, like, or the area there just fits on your hand really well. Like I play with my fingers a lot, as I'm sure you've noticed on the podcast by now. Let's bring back some of the echo. Come on. Maybe not all of it. Because of the kind of electronics that are in here, though, it's very vintage spec. And things like the tone knobs and the volume knobs behave in ways that are a little bit unique. And they're cool. Like you can hear it cleans up really well. There's a bit of digital noise going on just because we have all these lights and everything cranked on to do the podcast. And a lot of gain going on. You know, and I'm just trying to clean up. But you can hear just how much it does. It's just on the tip of your fingers there. Oh, you can't see the knobs. I'm just turning the tone knob to 0 there on the neck pickup. And even with a pick. It's pretty clean. The volume knob is like just at 8 maybe. There's 10. And all the attack comes back if I roll up the tone knob. But that neck pickup with the tone off. It's just got a sound to it, you know? It's the sound that you use for, you know where I'm going with that. When you just put the neck pickup on, it's like, here's the bridge pickup. That's the regular guitar sound. Neck pickup. Neck pickup with the tone off. I think Eric Clapton first started doing that trick, but he's a racist prick, so I kind of don't talk about him much. A lot of people are big fans. He had some good songs, I guess. I've only heard the one he did with the Beatles. That's a good one. He does his best. This is an ironic thing to say because I'm pretty mouthy right now. But he's doing his best when he's got no microphones near his face. So the Beatles thing is the best thing Eric Clapton ever did. And the best thing his wife ever did was leave him for the Beatles too. Yeah, he's racist. Look into it. I'm sorry if you like some of the stuff he's done over the years, but there was a couple... I know that the whole canceling thing went on the rise and whatnot, and I don't really fall into the camp of all of that stuff, but that dude... I don't know. There's the occasional person we all agree, right? There's like the Epsteins and the people... I'm not that he's the best Jeffrey Epstein, but you know what I'm saying. There's some people that we did all agree. No good. Bill Cosby. Raping the Puddin' Pops. Oh, you gotta censor that word on YouTube. Well, I have less than 100 views. We'll be fine. If this podcast gets 10 views, I know why. It's Bill Cosby's fault. And with blaming Bill Cosby for my lack of success... and an out-of-tune riff. No, we gotta play something cool to end it off. I've launched over the hour mark finally, only by a couple seconds in a couple previous episodes. Let's put in standard tuning. Murphy Lab Les Pauls. That is the name of the episode. Hooray for Murphy Lab Les Pauls and 500 subscribers. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good podcast. I will see you next week on episode 22. Haven't got a clue what we'll talk about because I will just be at work this whole time. Merry Christmas.